Hey there, and welcome back for another one. Where are we this time? Well, it is winter, but we're out in the desert, and we are at the Petrified Forest. Yeah! Alright, Petrified Forest slash Painted Desert. Been here a couple times when I was a kid with my dad. Might have gone 2 times as a kid. And then I came last during the summer 2 summers ago. And whoo, it is toasty in the summer. You know, I don't want to come back here during the summer ever again. Don't do it in June. But right now, we're in the end of December. We're on our way to my dad's for Christmas. Josh hasn't been here since he was a kid. And so we figured, let's explore it again, one more time when it's cold instead. Currently, we are at, well, there are 2 entrances you can go through. You can either go through the north entrance off the 40, or you can go through the south entrance, which is like just off of Holbrook, off of the 87? 77? I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. I just know the map in my brain. But we're going from the south entrance, which is by the museum, and it heads north so we can route back to the 40. So one of the first stops that you should hit when you're here, that is on the south entrance, you can always either hit it first or last, your call, is, and I'm gonna make sure I don't say this wrong, because it has come to light, I've been saying it wrong my entire life. Oh, brain. We are at the Agate House. Not the Agate House, like I've been calling it my entire life, because my brain just wants to be mean to me. It is the Agate House. Some awesome, well, they're not as new as they used to be, obviously. But they are made out of petrified wood and actual wood. People lived in these things for hundreds of years. Oh, it's probably chilly inside, but probably really cool to be surrounded by it. So yeah, we're gonna tool around here and then check out some petrified logs and then make our way through the park. We're bringing you along for the ride. Originally built with agatized wood blocks and mud mortar, Agate House likely housed a single family sometime between 1050 and 1300 during the late Pueblo II, Pueblo III periods. The scarcity of artifacts suggests a relatively brief occupation. Don't know if we'll be able to see inside. Oh look, letter. Pretty nifty. Probably took a good chunk of time to build, huh? Building your house out of petrified wood. Waking up to this every day. Random, adding this in here because I gotta give credit where credit is due. Our rangers and our National Park Service people, they do a lot of work. If you go back to watch the Longs Peak video from Backpacking Longs Peak, you'll see there's a part where they're doing the trail maintenance. Hard job. They spend days and years maintaining trails. Well, out here, they do the same thing, but they also have to maintain the structure. And right now, they've actually got a stability monitoring in progress. There's a crack in the house, they probably noticed. So they've set up these cool little levels. See the cracks there. They got one level here, and you can see that it's not well, the GoPro doesn't close focus, but it's not very level. And they got one above that actually is level. So over time, they're checking to make sure that it's not gonna collapse in on itself, and they gotta check it regularly. They gotta just maintain it, the records, so they can monitor how much is the ground settling. Are there micro earthquakes? Anything that would shift it. Because if it gets too much, well, it could collapse in itself, and that wouldn't be good. So they gotta monitor it. So thank you to our rangers for doing your job to preserve and maintain our parks. Thank you. Our next area, after we went to the agate house, agate, not agate, agate, is the long logs. It's along your way to the agate house. Massive, massive trees, still almost intact. They just fell over, obviously, but they've been preserved. It's pretty neat, and it looks like people are finally arriving into the park now too. We are no longer alone. Dun dun dun. Long, long log. Goes all the way across, as you can see, the size of it compared to Josh. It goes all the way. Yeah, it's broken apart. But that was a massive tree before it met its end. Wow, words, hard. And it has been preserved with time and elements. All right, so the next stop on our little tour through the Petrified Forest National Park is the Crystal Forest. Obviously, it's kind of a desert now, right? Yeah. Well, back at the beginning of the Triassic period, what they consider the dawn of the dinosaurs, this whole area was lush, full of ferns and just forests as long as the eye could see, supposedly. And honestly, not supposedly, you could. They can figure it out from all the trees. Granted, that was also when this part of the world was part of Pangaea. Pangaea, if for those of you who might not know, is the theory, not theory, it's been proven, all of the continents were all one giant piece. They slowly broke apart. Equator area, you got earthquakes, you got fault lines, we all moved. And over hundreds and thousands of years, we became to where we are now. So, back in the Pangaea period, before we were here, near Colorado, we were actually way somewhere else. Can't tell you the exact location, because I can't remember off the top of my head. But, different climate. It was humid, and there was just moisture everywhere. Well, that is not the case anymore. We left Pangaea behind, and that is how we now have the Crystal Forest as it is. Now, from my understanding, why they call it the Crystal Forest is the petrified logs are really sparkly, so it looks like crystals. It's really pretty, actually. So, Crystal Forest. During the Triassic period, this area resided on the supercontinent Pangaea at approximately 10 degrees north of the equator, the same latitude as present-day Costa Rica. As Pangaea broke apart, the North American continent drifted northward. Some 218 million years later, Crystal Forest is at 35 degrees north latitude. The Colorado Plateau uplifted slowly over millions of years, raising the parkland about a mile above sea level. Next on our stop of the tour of the Petrified Forest is the Jasper Forest. Now, it isn't a walk-through trail like the other previous stops. It's just a lookout area, but it is still just phenomenal to look at the views. The landscape is so vastly, I have no word for it. It is gone. You gotta see it in person and you'll understand. Jasper Forest contains one of the largest accumulations of petrified wood in the world. Originally called the First Forest, this site was the first petrified wood site available to railroad travelers in the early 1900s. Next stop on our tour, the Agate Bridge. As you can see behind me, it's a bridge. The structural support they added in 1917. Because unfortunately, without that support, it's probably going to collapse in on itself. The water and erosion is just slowly doing its job. Now granted, since 1917, this support is really well held. But there's no guarantee that it's gonna hold for forever. You gotta come out here and see it before nature takes it away with some more water. Because yes, even though we're in the desert, we still get some water. Nature does what nature wants to do. But I get bridge. The next location on our mini tour is the Blue Forest. And the current place that we are at is a little 1-mile loop trail in the Blue Mesa that allows you to go down into the Blue Badlands. Blue, lots of blue. Easy trail, but it's really cool just to be able to go down into the actual Badlands to get up nice and close to the formations. I mean, why not? Do it while you're here. The teepees. Next up on the tour, Newspaper Rock. Now, it doesn't really look like much of a newspaper anymore. I'm not sure if it really ever did to begin with. I wasn't here when they discovered it. But this area of the park has over 650 different petroglyphs that date back over 2,000 years old. Sorry, not 200. Haha. 2,000 years old plus. The fact that there were people living out here that long ago, if only they could tell us what it was like now. Here, we are at the Puerco Pueblo. Now, I could be saying that wrong, and if I am, I apologize, but I think it's Puerco Pueblo. But we have an archaeological site, which is actually pretty neat because the ruins are still, at least the outlines of the buildings are still intact. Ancient Native Americans lived out here, and there's traces of petroglyphs along the area, but the fact that the settlement that they had built still somewhat remains, I think is one of the coolest things. I mean, why not? Come check it out, see how they lived. The village on the Rio Puerco, aka Puerco Pueblo, is a prehistoric settlement built of shaped sandstone blocks by ancestral Puebloan people. It was inhabited between 1250 and 1380 AD. At its peak, the Pueblo had over 100 rooms with a possible population of 200 people. During the village's occupation, fields of corn, beans, and squash sustained by the summer rains would have filled the river's floodplain. Not one of your major stops for geological reasons, but the Petrified Forest is the only national park that has part of the historic Route 66 that comes through it. Behind me is a car left over from back then, and as you can kind of see in the distance, the telephone poles actually mark what the original route used to be before it got moved. This is how people used to come see the Petrified Forest. Old Route 66. Now, we've crossed the freeway heading north, and as you're on this part, we're stopped at Lacey Point. It's the first point just past the 66 as you're headed towards the northern part of the park. But this is the part of the park that starts to overlook the Painted Desert part of the Petrified Forest, which the colors are just phenomenal, which is why it's called the Painted Desert. Just, so vibrant. And even if you aren't gonna do the whole park, you don't have all time, you're just cutting through for like a little bit before the park closes, that's when you hit the north end, just to get the colors. The wood's still there, but if you have a short amount of time, I recommend going from this route. We had time today, so we could do the whole thing in length. Aha. And here we have Pintado Points. Da-da-da. And now we have Kachina Point, one of the last few stops on the northern end of the Petrified Forest. One of the first few if you're coming from the north end down. What's nice is that this point is just open up to all the area into the Painted Desert. Would be phenomenal for some drone footage. However, drone footage is not permitted over in this area. It is very much restricted. No drone footage. Although that would have been awesome to get if we could have. Kachina Point is nestled right behind the Petrified Forest Inn. Not to be confused with the kind of inn you can stay in, although from my understanding back in the day you could. But now it is just a museum. You can go check out artifacts, learn some history. But they have rebuilt a kiva, basically. And it's really nice, actually. They maintain it really well. But yeah. Painted Desert. Lastly, we are at Tawa Point. Not 100% sure if that's how you actually pronounce it. T-A-W-A. I could be saying it wrong, and again, sorry if I am. But Tawa Point is the very last or first main point that you stop at. If you wanted to, there's even Tawa Trail that goes off into the Painted Desert. Don't have time to do that today since we gotta get going back, well not back, but going to my dad's for Christmas. Maybe someday in the future I'll come back and do Tawa Trail and really wander off into the desert. That would be kind of fun. Well, hope you enjoyed our tour of the Petrified Forest. And if you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and follow along for more adventures because as always, there will be more, I promise. And until the next one, you guys have a good one. Later.